is now down to about 400. It was over 1,200 last week. The positivity rate is at 31.7%. 65.4% of the total population is fully vaccinated. And CDC data released over the weekend showed that 41% of our vaccinated population has been boosted. So we're seeing some good progress, but we're also still seeing some pretty scary numbers. There's not been a huge substantive change since last week. Hospitalizations do continue to rise. The strain on our health care system remains a strain and a difficulty. We do not have a clear indication yet that this has peaked. There's been some different data, some different conversations going on out there, but as far as the New Orleans Health Department is concerned, we're not yet ready to say that we've even peaked. So the message is, the request, the prayer is that everyone please continue to observe the health guidelines wherever you can. Mask up, get your vaccination, get your booster. The way we get to Carnival, the way that we do this safely, the way that we celebrate safely and welcome everybody to New Orleans for a Carnival season is we do it as safely as we can, and that means vaccination and it means masking up. We do want to remind everyone that all the crews that are participating this year, everybody that's rolling, every parade, is expected to be vaccinated or to provide proof of a negative test. Just like we did with Crew of Boo, that's going to apply to every parade this year. We had said that before, but it seems like there's a lack of clarity out there, so we want to reemphasize that. Moving on to a couple of announcements, and then we'll go to questions. Mayor Cantrell this evening is going to be making a trip to Washington, D.C. She's going to be going up for the 90th U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting. She's going to join 150 fellow mayors from around the nation. They're going to be discussing a lot of things, including implementation of federal resources through the American Rescue Plan Act and the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. She's going to be there through Friday, and is expected to return Friday afternoon. And with that, we'll move to questions.
Sure, Paul, I had a couple deals here. First things first, on that every crew expected to be vaccinated,
Yep.
show proof of negative test, is that just riders, or are we talking marching bands, what are we talking about?
My understanding is it definitely applies to everyone that's riding on the floats. I'd have to seek clarity from Dr. Ravegno in terms of the individual elements, the marching bands. I would say that the strong preference would certainly be that they are vaccinated and able to show a proof of negative test, but I'm not clear exactly on what that protocol is, so let me get back to you on that. I would say the working assumption should be if you're in a parade, you need to be vaccinated or show proof of a test.
Got it.
Yeah.
Council meeting on violent crime no labor this week. They've got a series of meetings Thursday and Monday. What is the administration's expectations out of those meetings?
Well, you're going to hear more from Chief Ferguson on this. I believe he's speaking on Thursday to the whole council, so I'm going to leave it to him to give his top-line overview on that. But I will say what we've said all along, that for us to move forward in the way that we need to in terms of the crime problem, everybody has to be at the table and everybody has to be working together. So that's certainly what we want to see happen. And I think bringing everyone together and continuing that conversation is critical.
The advocate and the NWDSU.
Does the administration have any response to the district attorney's statement from yesterday, which seems to criticize NLPD for making weak cases? And this is part of the reason why people...
Yes, so we're aware of that statement. It was disappointing. It's discouraging. It's not really helpful for us to get into a tit for tat and a back and forth with the DA's office. It could potentially make for some fun television or for some good sound bites, but it doesn't make anybody any safer. We are very much focused on wanting to make sure that, as I just said to WGNO, that we're moving forward together. Pointing fingers is not productive. To make the kind of progress that we need to make, the entire system has to be working, and the entire system has to be working together. Now, throughout the pandemic, the last 18 months, NOPD has been out there every day making arrests, and you've heard me say from this podium, the role of the NOPD in this process is to make arrests once a crime has been committed. Past that, it requires the work and the cooperation from all the other elements of the criminal justice system. That includes the DA's office, it includes the courts. It means that we all have to work together on it. Last year, I think there were only 2 jury trials. This year, there have been none so far. That has an impact. That's a reality. That's not anybody's fault. That's not pointing fingers. That is a reality that the pandemic created, and it has consequences. That said, the NOPD has been out there showing the work and making the arrests. Some of the stats that were cited in the statement that you referenced, we don't believe are accurate. But the larger point is that we don't need to get into a back and forth on it. I don't want to split hairs and again, have you guys running over to the DA's office and back here and back and forth for quotes. That doesn't really help anybody. You are going to hear more. Yeah, I can say specifically that from our data, and this is from Criminal Justice Commissioner, the DA's office has accepted 83% of murders in the last 9 months, with 23 charges refused. They accepted only 48% of armed robbery and carjacking charges, refused 34. And in car theft, the acceptance rate was 35%. Now, if the argument is that the NOPD is making weak cases, the NOPD has been under a federal consent decree for years. And the way that those cases are put together and put before the DA is very closely monitored and has been held to a very high standard. So again, it's not helpful to split hairs on this, and I really don't want to get into a back and forth on it. Our perspective, and I think the DA's office and the other stakeholders would agree, is that for us to move forward, everybody has to be working together. That's the goal of these conversations. That's the goal of the work that we're doing, and you're going to hear more from the chief on that on Thursday.
And just to be clear, it sounds like it, but the chief retains the confidence of the mayor at this point, or no?
1,000%, yes, absolutely.
Deputy, is you in the
I hate to piggyback the same
Sure.
line of question, but given the fact that is an elected office, are politics in play, do you feel like? Because no one, it's my understanding, one, you addressed the numbers, so I have to get to those. but
Sure.
Are politics in play here with somebody essentially throwing the first punch because things aren't good when it comes to crime right now?
I want to be clear, we're not throwing a punch, and we're not, well, no, nobody is. We're not getting in a fight over this. The statement that came out yesterday notwithstanding, it does not do anybody any good for us to go back and forth on this, so we're not going to go down that lane. I'm not going to speculate as to anybody's motives or their politics, so I really don't have anything further to say on that, Travers.
You continue to say that it's important that everyone works together
Yep.
in the criminal justice system. Would you say that, given the comments from both the chief and then also the DA's office, that that is not happening right now? Do you believe that more needs to be?
I think you're going to hear the chief say, and you're going to hear pretty much everyone involved in this conversation say more needs to be done, right? Everybody's very aware of the situation and of the difficulties that we collectively face. The best way that we're going to do that is to do that together, so absolutely, we need to work harder and do better at that. That's the goal.
How does, look, the police chief's appointed by the mayor, how does he move forward when he reads something like that where the DA essentially says,
Sure.
you're basically not doing a good enough job making arrests?
Right. I'll let Chief Ferguson speak for himself on that one. You're going to hear from him later this week, and he can probably speak to that with more authority than I will.
WGNR.
Well, sanitation contract, has that gone up to bid yet, and where are we in that process?
I do not have an update for you on that, unfortunately, but let me check in with sanitation and see if I've got anything. I'm not aware that it's moved forward, so let me see if that's changed since last time we spoke.
We are still rebidding the,
Yes, but I don't have any specifics on the date or the timeline on it.
Deputy, is you.
Christmas trees, we had heard about the pickup, where do things stand with that, did anybody, have you heard anybody any issues letting?
Yeah, so anecdotally, we did hear some folks that did not get picked up. And if your tree did not get picked up on the day it was supposed to, please call 311 to report that so we can get that locked down. My understanding is we picked up 73 truckloads worth of Christmas trees, and they are at Recovery One right now where they're going to be bundled up for that environmental remediation. Again, if your tree got missed, please call 311 and let us know. We are anecdotally hearing some reports of that, and sanitation is going to get on it to make another pass and get that resolved. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate you.